Raise your hand if you like Gyoko. Alright, that was probably nobody, so we're just gonna continue. Hello there, my fandom friends! Today I bring to you another video about Demon Slayer. Today we are going to be specifically talking about the demons. If you don't know, I am a super fan of a lot of the demons in Demon Slayer, so this video is also going to kind of prove my points in some ways why I like more over the others. But basically today I thought it would be fun to break down the demons into 3 categories. These categories are going to be good, broken, or evil. So I'm going to start off by explaining kind of my definition of each, so that if you want to, you can kind of play along, categorize the demons how you want, but of course in this video, this is all going to be dependent on my opinion, based on their backstories if they had them, based on who they are as a demon, and what was happening around the time of their death and afterward. So starting off with the first category of just good, these are the good demons. These are the ones that aren't really doing any harm upon people, they're just good. The second category is the broken demons. I am going to be defining the word broken as kind of the demons who are constantly in denial, or the more emotional ones, the ones that still have human morals that are good, however they are still acting kind of bad as a demon. They are still killing people, they are still wreaking havoc. My definition of the third category, which is just evil, that's really all it is. These are the pure evil demons that like to kill for the fun of it. They enjoy being a demon. They wanted to become a demon. At the end of the day, there's really no hope for these demons to be redeemable. There will be spoilers in this video for manga, however that won't be until the end of the video because I'm going to basically be breaking down all of these demons by when they kind of entered the story. So of course we are going to get to more of the upper moons later in the video, which there of course will be manga spoilers for them. I will give a warning once that time comes. But let's start off with our first demon. Of course, we gotta start off with good old Nezuko. Without getting too much into manga spoilers, of course, we can just see that she is unlike any of the other demons who are just completely controlled or manipulated by Muzan. She still has the majority of her human brain and thoughts and everything going on there. Of course, we had our scary moment in the entertainment district when she snapped, but for the most part, she is a good demon. Number 2, we have the hand demon. Now this demon is very disturbing, very disgusting, kind of sadistic in a way. He seems to be very uncaring for the human life as he just basically goes through final selection whenever they hold it and just completely wipes out all of these kind of wannabe slayers. However, the hand demon, as we saw from his backstory, was a very young child. I'm guessing probably around like 5 years old, and all he wanted to do was hold his big brother's hand. Like, and how pure is that? But to see him transform into this horrendous demon that's basically a really disturbing killing machine, I'm gonna have to give him the category of evil. Throughout his time living on this world as a demon, he had no remembrance of his life until he was kind of reminded of that in his last few moments. Of course, we got to see him getting emotional as he was dying and as he was remembering his past life, but really his mission as a demon was to just kill as many people and kids as possible, which I'm going to have to give him the evil category for. Number 3, we have the swamp demon. Now, we don't get any sort of backstory from him. However, as a demon, we see that he is very obsessed with eating young girls and taking like hair clips and other things from them as kind of a trophy. Now, in my opinion, what his backstory probably was that he was kind of a in a way because of his kind of desire as a demon to prey upon young girls, which I just think is really gross, disturbing, disgusting. That's not okay, and I don't see any redeemable qualities in him. We also saw that he feared Muzan with a passion, but didn't really take action on like fighting that, and you know, he became a demon, so he probably made that decision. We don't know, of course, but I'm going to have to give the swamp demon the evil category. Next up are 2 of my favorite demons that are so underrated, so please give them some love, but I'm going to be combining them. We have Yushiro and Tamayo. Without getting too much into manga spoilers, I am going to just give them both the category of good demons. For Tamayo, I am going to give her the category of broken and good, because I think that there was a part of her life as she was a demon that she's not super proud of. We know that she killed people, and there's much more that goes on with that. And so I feel like she started as a very broken demon and then later realized that she wanted to be good. And of course, we see that reflected in all of her work with Yushiro and everything going on currently in the anime. We see that Yushiro obviously made the choice of becoming a demon through Tamayo, but it wasn't to do bad, it was to do good. And they have their whole system down, their whole duo partnership, and Tamayo's kind of scientific side and how she's trying to help turn demons back into human. Of course, all of her work with Nezuko and everything kind of currently happening in the anime as of now. I'm gonna yet again combine two demons because we saw them at the same time, they work together. These are none other than Susumaru and Yahaba. We didn't get a ton of them, so I can't have too much of a full opinion about them. We did get a little bit more on Susumaru and her backstory, which was probably something related to her playing a sport with, of course, the ball that she loved as a demon and made that kind of her blood demon art. We did see that same fear that the swamp demon showed toward Muzan, of course, when she accidentally slipped up and said his name. She pleaded for him to give her mercy. That did not happen, and she died a very sad death. Her death is very, very sad, and I want to say that Susumaru and Yahaba were both very young. However, as demons, we really only got to see them wanting to do harm and kill people. That's really all I have to go off on. And so for these reasons, I'm going to be giving them the evil category. Next up, we have another one of my favorite demons, Kyogai. He just wanted to write a book, man. That's all he wanted. So of course with Kyogai, I always have this sense of just like sadness when I think about him because he seems like such a sad and lonely demon. He also seems like one of the most emotional demons that I remember seeing throughout the whole story, which I think is really special because I feel like that kind of shows and proves that he still remembers kind of at least something from his human life and he's trying to hold on to that as a demon. We see that he even lives alone in a mansion and his blood demon art literally can't do probably anything outside that mansion. And so that leaves him living a very secluded life, and no wonder he's no longer a part of the lower ranking demons in Muzan's 12 Kizuki because he's just secluded to this house. He can't go anywhere. I think a huge part of what drove him into becoming a demon is he really just gave up after being told no 1,000 times. I think he told himself that him and his art were worthless, and that kind of drove him into this really sad and lonely life. In the end, of course, when we see that Tanjiro is fighting him and he is beheading him, all Tanjiro had to do was say that he appreciated his art. And that meant something to Kyogai so deep down that he lost focus and kind of lost that fight because of his own human morals that were coming back to him in a way. He realized that his art being recognized for the first time meant so much more to him than winning this pointless battle. So for all of those reasons, I'm going to give Sweet Kyogai the category of a broken demon. Next up, we have my favorite demon and favorite character from Demon Slayer, Rui. I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet for Rui because, as you might know, I could gush about him all day, every day. I also have so many other videos breaking him down as a character, different theories, breakdowns, things like that. Feel free to watch those above or find them throughout my channel. In my opinion, Rui's entire existence as a demon still highly relates to his human life. There is no way he has forgotten his human life. There's a specific quote from him where he basically says that the more power he gave away, the more he remembered of his human life. What is the one thing that we see Rui do different than any other demons? It split his power into creating other family members. Yes, of course, we know that Rui wants to have his own family. He wants to have that love and that true bond. He's trying to control that, but at the end of the day, he is dividing his power so that it's making himself weaker, so that he is remembering parts of his human life. And he continues to fight for that goal even as a demon after Muzan has supposedly taken away all of his memories. Of course, he's interesting because he's the one who killed his parents and then realized that they actually loved and cared for him, which is another reason why Muzan basically flooded him with his own blood and gave him more power, because he was trying to force Rui and manipulate Rui into forgetting all of that hardship from his past, that Muzan could control him. In my opinion, I feel like Rui is the one in control. All Rui wanted at the end of the day was to have a loving family bond. Did he go about that wrong as a demon? Absolutely, wholeheartedly, I will agree. He was abusive, he was unstable, he was the one that wanted to have control over everybody when he didn't fully understand the situation. He, of course, was manipulated into becoming a demon in the first place. I could go on and on about Rui, so please watch my other videos so I can get more out about him, but he is such a complex and unique demon compared to others, in my opinion. As he starts to be driven mad by the end of his arc, we see that Giyu is able to behead him, and as he's falling, he's remembering his human life. He is remembering that all he wanted to do was apologize to his loving family, and that's what he gets. He is emotional over this, and all he wants is that love. And so for all of these reasons, and so much more, I am going to give him the category of broken. Before moving on to the next demon, I did want to give a little talk on the spider mother, because I feel like she's very different than all the other spider members of Rui's family. We don't really get a ton of information about the rest of the family, but what we get from the spider mom kind of left her in a very desperate kind of denial type situation. And I don't think she enjoyed doing what she was doing as a demon. She didn't seem to really take heart and be happy by hurting and killing people. So for these reasons, I'm going to give her the category of good broken. She did go along with Rui's orders and his control, but as we obviously saw, she was abused and taken advantage of. From the little backstory we saw of her, there seemed to be some special person in her life that she just hoped to get back to one day. I feel like she was one of the first demons that Demon Slayer fans as a whole really got emotional over, and by the end, when she was just glad that Tanjiro was ending her life, and of course he did it in such a kind way that let her go peacefully, she was just so thankful for that. She was ready to let go. She did not want to be a demon. And so of course she is good, but I would also say broken. Next up, we have another lower moon demon. We have Enmu. Enmu, of course, does not have a solid backstory, and basically the first scene we see of him is him bowing down to Muzan, expressing how excited he is to basically be ended by this higher power demon above him. Red flags, anyone? That's so sketchy and manipulative, because of course he's just trying to win over Muzan. And yes, of course he does, but then all we really see him do is just enjoy ending people's lives, taking control over them, manipulating them into these very nightmarish situations, of course using his blood demon art, which is dreams and nightmares and all of that. And he repeatedly says how much he enjoys watching people go through these nightmares and putting people through these nightmares. And that's just not a cool vibe. So for these reasons, Enmu is going to be put in the evil category. Next up, we have two more demons that I'm going to lump together, Gyutaro and Daki. Where to begin? Oh, where to begin with these two? As you probably know, these two characters have another heart-wrenching backstory. They had lots of childhood trauma. They had this fuel to survive because no one else was helping them, especially Gyutaro, who was trying to survive by himself as well as take care of his sister Ume. Basically, bad thing after bad thing occurs to these young siblings who are just trying to survive in life. And by the end of what we see in their backstory, Ume is basically left for dead, all because she was trying to protect herself. And of course, once Gyutaro gets there, he kind of goes on a rampage. His sister is basically dead, or very close to death, and he himself is not looking the best. Of course, they run into Doma, another demon who gives them the choice of becoming a demon. Of course, Ume, or now Daki, never had a choice of becoming becoming a demon, but what was Gyutaro going to do? He chose the route to survival once again for both himself and his sister. Something that makes them so special is their bond and their love as siblings, which of course parallel Tanjiro and Nezuko. From the start of Ume being born, they've both wanted the best for each other. We saw how much Gyutaro fighted for both of them throughout that backstory, and even as demons, they have each other's backs. And by the end, when both of them are taken down, and yes, they are fighting and they're arguing, but they both realize how much they love each other in the end, and all they want is the best for each other. We see Gyutaro going toward hell because he was a demon who killed people. That's of course where he should belong. Ume is faced the opposite way. She is faced toward the light, probably going more toward the heaven or other afterlife that you believe in. They're both going their separate ways, but Ume does not want to leave her brother. She loves him so much so that she will walk into hell with him. I just have to give them the category of broken. There's so much broken about their childhood and their backstory and them as demons and their death scene and even in their afterlife that I can't give them good and I can't give them evil. Lower Moon 5, next we have Gyoko. When Muichiro said, "Don't bother reincarnating," he was basically reading my mind, and probably yours too. Raise your hand if you like Gyoko. Alright, that was probably nobody, so we're just gonna continue. Gyoko is probably one of the most disturbing and disgusting demons. He doesn't really have a backstory, but what I can assume is that it probably has something to do with art. As a human, I don't know if it was as demented as it is, obviously, as him being a demon, but as we see in the story, Gyoko is obsessed with creating this kind of pot art out of just dead bodies after killing people, and it's really just not fun to see. I don't hate on people's art, but this dude literally mutilates and dismembers bodies to create his art, and I just gotta give him the category of evil because he's just too gross for me. I can't with him. Next up, we have Hantengu. Now, all we really get as far as a backstory for Hantengu is that he was a thief and a liar. What else can I say? He's just a bad person. And as a demon, he's kind of no better. So that's really all I gotta say about him. He's just evil category straight off the bat. It is at this time that there will be spoilers ahead for the manga. I will be talking about some pretty drastic stuff, so if you have not read the manga, please just be forewarned that I will be talking about spoilers for the rest of the video, of course, because I'm going to be talking about the upper 3 moons, as well as a couple others that aren't really talked about a whole lot in the anime yet. So let's jump into Akaza. Akaza is my third favorite character out of everyone in Demon Slayer, so he also holds a very special place in my heart. People also deem his backstory as being the saddest out of all of the demons. And yes, it is quite in-depth. Basically, with Akaza as a human, basically lost everyone he loved so dearly. His dad and his fiancée. Of course, we see in his backstory that he takes revenge on all of the people who have wronged him and those he loves. Because he is in a lot of pain, he's feeling all of those really intense emotions, of course, because 2 people he loved have died. As a human, I really do think Akaza tried to lead a very honest life. However, it just got so messed up by the time he started losing people, and he just lost it and eventually ran into Muzan and became a demon. Of course, with all of his human memories wiped, he still did have some kind of inkling of his past. We see that his blood demon art, Compass Needle, is a huge snowflake, which actually resembles his fiance's hair clip, which is also a snowflake. So there was still a part of him that remembered and held on to his old life, even if he probably couldn't place it as a demon. Even as a demon, I feel like he has a lot more morals compared to other demons, ones that you might have as a human. Of course, his whole conversation to Rengoku about power, amongst other things. Something that I find really special about Akaza, and kind of the core reason why I'm going to categorize him the way I am, is his death scene. As he dies, he's basically pulled into this kind of trance-like state where he can see his fiancée on one hand, and on the other hand, he can see Muzan. Basically, they are pulling him back and forth in this kind of tug-of-war fashion where Muzan Muzan is telling him to fight back, be a demon, serve him. He's basically trying to manipulate him. On the other hand, we see that Akaza is starting to remember his past because he's seeing the woman that he loves and wanted to marry when he was a human. She's telling him that he has done enough and that he needs to just let go. And ultimately, he decides to blow himself up because he wants to be with her again, as opposed to being with Muzan and serving Muzan and completing all these horrendous deeds as a demon. He made that choice to end himself, which is astonishing for a demon. We have never seen that in any other demon that has just decided to end themselves. And really, you can't really do that as a demon, at least up until that moment, because that's not one of the ways they can die. However, Akaza had the power and remembered his human love of his life so much. And I just think that speaks absolute wonders for Akaza. For all of these reasons, I'm going to categorize him as broken. Next up, we have Akaza's friend, or maybe not, Doma. So he has a backstory just like Huntengu, where we see that he basically was just not a good person. Now, of course, we see that he kind of was just forced into this kind of paradise life because of his parents when he was very young, but he kind of just continues to go along the same kind of dark route as a human and as a demon. His whole goal and mentality is that he wants to end humans' lives based on the humans that are in the most pain and have the most conflict and just hardship throughout their life. Now, Buddy's got something majorly wrong because no human is perfect and no human is walking around 100% happy. Everyone has issues, everyone's in pain for some reason or another, so he basically just wants to kill everyone. So that's not a good thing. He basically is using this cult to draw people in, these victims, to just then later kill them, which he, in his mind, his demented mind, thinks that he's doing them a service by bringing them to this paradise land, by kind of acting as a godlike person, but he's got it all wrong. So for all of these reasons, I'm going to be categorizing him as evil. We are coming down to the lines here. Next up and almost last, we have Kokushibo. Kokushibo is one of the most in-depth demons. He, of course, had a very good upbringing as a human, at least in my opinion. He was not poor. He was not really struggling to survive. Really, all it comes down to is this kind of jealousy and this fear of his brother having success and him not. I think Kokushibo could have lived a really good life as a human if he didn't let that fear and insecurity of himself get the better of him. He did purposely decide to become a demon. He does purposely decide to bring harm upon people. In my opinion, I think he started off as a broken demon and then later just kind of developed into being more evil. But all in all, I really see him as just being led astray by his own jealous thoughts, which is really sad, and he wasn't always evil. And so for these reasons, I am going to give him both of these categories. Third to last, we have Kaigaku. Now, this is a demon that I feel like people either love or hate, and again, we get to see a backstory for him, actually kind of multiple parts of his backstory in different walks of life for him, and they're all kind of bad, and they paint him as not a good person. So of course we see him as first being a child who stayed with Guillaume with all of these other kids. We see that he was an absolute coward by saving his own life and basically killing all of the other kids that he lived with Guillaume by bringing a demon to that house. That demon was probably only going to kill him, but because of his cowardly decisions, he led them to that house for the demon to just slaughter everyone else and leave him alone. We then see that he is training under Jigoro around the same time that Zenitsu is, and we see that he's just a straight up bully to Zenitsu. He's not a nice person as a human, so of course as he turns into a demon, he's just worse. And as Jigoro later finds out that Kaigaku turned into a demon, he literally takes it upon himself to end himself. Yes, that was Jigoro's own decision, but Kaigaku's decision to become a demon kind of influenced that. And so I am going to categorize Kaigaku as evil. There's not a single good thing he has done. If I'm missing something, please let me know. Our second to last demon, we have the Biwa demon, or her name is Nakime. So her backstory is actually not in the anime or the manga from what I can remember. However, it was found in the core records, which is actually one of the manga behind me. Basically, she wasn't a good person either. She decided to have a gambling addict as a husband. After she ended his life, she would go on to perform her biwa, or her instrument, to people, kind of like a concert type fashion. And before every single concert, she would just kill someone new. This was all when she was a human. And so when she eventually ran into Muzan, she chose to become a demon so that she could further just murder people. So she wasn't good at all, no redeeming qualities that I can see personally, so she is going to be categorized as evil. Our last demon to categorize is Muzan himself, and basically I'm just gonna categorize him as Muzan Jackson. He's above the rest, he's better than the rest, so he's basically just Muzan Jackson. So, okay, obviously I'm categorizing him as evil. He's the mastermind of demons, so what else can I give him? That is going to wrap up my categorizing of all of the demons. Of course, all of this again is my opinion at the end of the day. If you have a different opinion or would like to share how you categorized all of the demons or some of your favorite demons, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Also, let me know, who are your top 3 favorite demons? My top 3 are Rui, Yushiro, and Akaza. I have some more demon videos coming up that I will be posting soon, so look forward to that, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!